Hello, I'm Joe Forrester and you're listening to Rosed, the definitive soccer podcast. You can get in touch with us at Rosed Soccer on Twitter, at Rosed Pod on Instagram and on TikTok. And if you like Facebook and stuff like that, then you can get in touch by searching for Rosed Soccer Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. Look, just put that in and you'll find us. Big week in the Premier League, of course, and Carabao Cup to talk about. But just something that I wanted to talk about right at the top of the show is sadly somebody I know from Instagram who's also a fellow presenter passed away this week. Hattie Gaynor was only 29 years old and she had stage 4 inoperable breast cancer. She's spent the last year after getting the diagnosis about a year, 18 months ago, documenting her journey on Instagram. And that's how I came to find her. You also might remember her from Got to Dance with Cheryl Cole. She got quite far in that. And she used the scariest, I suppose, most terrifying, uncertain, painful time of her life to share her journey, inspire others who are going through the same journey, but also to inspire women to get checked out and to, I suppose, find out more about the charities that she was a supporter of and to remind them to get checked and also just draw attention to this terrible illness and something that at the moment there is no real conclusive medical treatment for. And her family have requested that if you'd like to make a gesture of remembrance, you can donate to @Copperfield People or @Make Seconds Count, which is MAKE to NDS and the word count. They're breast cancer charities. Look, girls, get yourself checked. Guys, obviously, get yourself checked as well. It can happen to anyone, it can happen to young people. And just, all the best to Hattie and her family at this time. She's an incredibly brave, inspirational woman. I feel proud just to have interacted with her on Instagram. Real inspiration. I just wanted to say that at the top of the show, just to encourage people to kind of go and find out more. Anyway, you are listening to Rosed. It's the definitive soccer podcast. With me, as always, looking like she's about to read us a story, it's Hannah East. Hannah, what's going on? You've sort of got a weird orange glow going on from below you.
I've got a new ring light and I think I've put the wrong setting on, so I look like I've been on a sunbed for 3 weeks.
No, you look like it's like, hello and welcome to story time with me and Hannah East.
We're all going to lie in bed with Auntie Hannah and read a story.
Bit different to what I was going for.
Maybe not.
What's in the box?
In the box behind me?
Yeah.
It's my shredding and just a few bodies. You know how it goes.
Are you a shredder? You shred stuff?
I do shred stuff.
Why?
Yeah, I shred everything. My family. No, just receipts and stuff. Yeah. Do you not shred?
No, but why? Do you feel like the FBI are after you or something? It's quite an extreme thing to do, shredding.
I've got a very big shredder. I can put a lot in it. So, shred everything. It's fine.
My mum brought a shredder about 15 years ago and we used to shred everything. It's like, Mum, nobody cares about your paperwork. You're a teacher in southwest London. It's not like the Illuminati are after it. Like, what does she think it is? The Da Vinci Code or something? Mike Stavru. I've never said his name. Producer Mike is with us as well. Hello, mate.
Yeah, I didn't even know you knew my second name, Joe, to be honest with you.
Just producer Mike.
Shocking. Just producer Mike. Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you, Joe. Very well.
Hannah, I've also, you know that poster behind you of the London bus and Big Ben?
Yeah.
I've got that.
I stole that from... Have you?
Yeah.
I stole that from a student house. They were throwing it away and I found it next to a bin and I thought my little boy would really like it. So I actually stole it. Sorry, carry on. It's a nice picture though.
It is. It's not nice if it's all covered in like bin juice and stuff. Why? Do you know what, Hannah? I'm not going to lie. I've got one in my room. It's about 15 quid. Treat yourself. Right, you can have mine.
Okay.
We launched TikTok this week, Hannah, and we've had a comment heavy week across all our platforms.
Yeah.
People have been getting involved in the TikTok.
Yeah.
And we've been replying to them. Has that been fun?
I mean, I feel like I'm arguing with 15-year-old boys here.
Well, you are.
Know, which I am. Somebody said that one of my impressions was, and he used the word shit. Really offended me. So it was almost as if it was I was about to have a fight at school. So I felt the need to bite back, which I don't think you don't feed people on these social media platforms, but
no,
I can't help it.
Okay, so we've had some interesting feedback on the week we've launched our TikTok, particularly on Hannah's Timo Werner impression. So I personally love it. I know Mike is a big fan. So some people have said, Camfula says, well, that was big, Big Zaddy Isa says, WTF was that? Jude Moore 360 says, that's Tim Warner. Movie Quote says, I think you cut out the part where someone does a Timo impression.
Will you stop laughing, Joe, at these comments?
And no, I'm laughing because they're so wrong.
This is my life.
Pentecost says Timo dishwasher. Don't know what that means. So we asked Timo this week, didn't we, Hannah, for an official response, and I believe we can hear that now.
So yeah, I phoned him and just asked him what he thought, and he said, "I think this is not very nice. These people with small winkies on what you say TikTok, saying things like kind of impressions, makes me super angry, and I am not very happy."
Thank you, Sir Timo dishwasher. There, thank you very much.
When's the impression going to start?
Nice one, Timo. Thank you.
Cheers, hon.
But also, people have been getting in touch on Instagram. Well, one thing that's sparked a bit of a conversation, okay, in my DMs in the last day, literally the last day, is the Eric Dyer paradigm. So I posited on the show last week that a wonder goal is better if it's scored by a worse player because it's harder for them to do. So therefore, for example, if Eric Edmonds scores a screamer, that's better than Steven Gerrard scoring a screamer because Eric Edmonds not as good. So he has to try harder. And then people started getting in touch because there's a bit of a difference of opinion on this, right? So Rob Troubadour on Instagram says that anything that Dennis Bergkamp touches is a wonder goal. End. So I said to Rob, well, surely the threshold's higher for Dennis Bergkamp because he's so good. And he said, yep, I agree. Look no further than Noé Pamaro's goal for Portsmouth versus Newcastle. And this sent me on a bit of a YouTube wormhole looking at old goals by rubbish people, right? So Simon said Czech Tiote scored one wonder goal for Newcastle and it's better because he's a rubbish player. However, Stuart says, I think it's the opposite. If Eric Dyer scores a quality goal, then it's lucky compared to if Messi scored the same goal because you know it's skill and it's more meant. A great goal is a great goal, but I appreciate an overhead kick from a world-class player more than when Crouch did it. I laugh a bit and think fair play, but that won't happen again. So I didn't really think of that. Mike, you're nodding your head. Do you think it's better if a good player scores it?
I think that's a really interesting point because it's right. It is a complete fluke. I remember Jim Kasami for Fulham scored that ridiculous Van Basten-esque goal. And I was like, he's completely just hit that and hoped at a ridiculous angle he probably shouldn't be shooting. It's one of them ones where he probably hits it like 99 times out of 100 it goes into Rosette. And then that one time he hits it and it just pings into the top corner over the goalkeeper and it's ridiculous. So I kind of see what he's saying. Like Dennis Bergkamp, you expect him to twine up Nikos Dabizas on a daily basis. But someone like that, like Kasami, you probably wouldn't expect him to do it. So yeah, I guess it is a bit more interesting to watch someone great do it because you know that they can do it week in, week out. So that's a fair point. I never thought about that actually. Interesting.
So actually, I'm glad you mentioned Kasami's goal because Mike said there is no better goal than Kasami's for Fulham. If Ronaldo had scored that, it's shown on every highlight reel everywhere. And I agree with that because my favourite goal pretty much is Emre Can's bicycle kick against Watford in the FA Cup. And I think that's better than the Rivaldo bicycle kick, the Ronaldo one, that Gareth Bale one. I think that because he's not as good a player as any of them. That Wayne Rooney one, I think Chan's goal is better because it's Emre Can. So it's more like that's a wonder goal because it's something wondrous. Look, if you want to get involved with what I'd like to call the Eric Dyer paradigm or possibly the Eric Dyer equation, lack of talent plus quality of goal equals wonder goal. I don't know. We'll workshop that. Then it's at Rosed Pod on Instagram or at Rosed Soccer on Twitter. Hannah,
so you're having productive interaction on Instagram, and I'm just arguing with kids on TikTok. This is what's going on here.
Well, Hannah, we can both agree that we're wasting our potential because you're arguing with teenagers, and I'm just sharing YouTube clips of goals from 15 years ago from obscure Premier League players with strangers. So none of it's what we're supposed to be doing with our lives.
Yeah.
Hannah, Manchester United are rubbish again, aren't they?
No, they're not rubbish again. They need time, is all I'm going to say. They need time to mould as a team.
Think it over.
The training sessions, to that interaction, playing together, that they need time. So let's just.
They've had a lot of time, Hannah, haven't they, under Ollie?
Well, no, I'm thinking the team this season. The season's young. I mean, we didn't play. I was disappointed last night, actually, with their performance against West Ham. But it is what it is. We move on. You can't keep dwelling on the past in football. We have to keep moving on, be positive, think about the progression, the excitement in our team. And I think come Christmas, if we're not doing very well, then it's a case of thinking, oh, there is a situation. But at the moment, I'm a positive United fan, despite last night.
It was also kind of there's something we probably can't mention because Hannah essentially accused quite a prominent figure from Manchester United's past of insider trading and fraud before we came on air. And this is what it's all down to. So we can't really talk about Hannah's actual conspiracy theory about why all this is going on. I'd like to say it's just not true. It can't be. You two are both like, yeah, man. Yeah. I've been listening to a podcast about conspiracy theories recently. I was like, what are you two lunatics talking about? But Mike, I personally think, right, I think United could be quite a lucky team anyway. And I thought they were relatively lucky, obviously, against West Ham at the weekend, with Mark Noble missing that penalty. And West Ham have now knocked them out the Carabao Cup. Are United actually good or are they lucky?
I think it's a bit of a weird one. And you can almost ask the question. I read a Jamie Carragher column a few weeks ago, and he was talking about Ronaldo coming in. He's going to get you 20 Premier League goals, but like at what cost to the team? Because they've basically built their entire play around him now. Like everyone feeds Ronaldo. Everything's about Ronaldo. Like he's taken so many shots in the box. He has scored 4 goals, so that's completely fair in 3 games. But it's at what cost to the entire team? Because obviously you looked at them against West Ham on the weekend, the game that they narrowly won. Thanks to David Moyes bringing on Mark Noble to score a penalty should have had a penalty, but in terms of the decisions that were given on the pitch, why they brought on Mark Noble. But anyway, I think there was sort of a little bit lucky there in a sense, and the defending was just all at sea. Like I didn't really know what I was watching. And you think when you bring in someone like Rafa Varane, like a World Cup winner, you expect him to solidify their defence. I think they've gotten worse defensively based on this season's evidence. So it's just like, what is the plan? What's going on? Their players like Donny van de Beek, Anthony Martial, I'm not really sure what they're doing there. I don't know what the plan for them is. You've got someone like Jesse Lingard who you probably should have let go and you could have got some money from, because it's a bit of a waste to have him coming off the bench. I don't really know what that does for him for his career. And I just don't really know what the sort of plan is. I know that Solskjaer is a very good man motivator, but is he good at that high level, like making split decisions? We spoke about it last week, didn't we, with in the Champions League? So yeah, I'm just a bit confused. And to answer your question, Joe, I do think they're sort of a moments team, and that does involve some luck along the way.
Yeah, Hannah, can I just quickly say, because the thing is, I think, right, and I'm not going to have a go at United now. Yeah. But I just don't think Solskjaer's a very good manager. And I think you've got such a good team, right? And I think if you put in a top quality manager, like Max Allegri was available for a couple of seasons. I know he's not doing very well at Juventus now, but there's top quality managers out there. And I just think you give that team to a better manager, and United are a serious side that are going to push Chelsea right at the top of the table. Whereas now I just don't think you will. And I know there's a moral argument. It's like, well, he's not done that badly. He's actually done okay. So why would you sack him? But completely ruthless. Football clubs in general, especially top level football clubs, are completely ruthless in every other area of the game, furloughing staff and all that kind of thing. So why stick with Ollie? He's the linchpin of the organisation. I don't think he's got what it takes.
But I think that's the problem, okay, with the perception of fans in the UK particularly. It's like you think, oh, he's not playing very well. We've 4 or 5 games into the season, right? The team aren't doing very well. Get rid of the manager. And we've said this before in the past, people are too quick to get rid of them. Like if they have an ethos and they've got a vision, as a fan, you have to support it. So who else would United get in? Because United are a special team. They have the grit, and they've got history, and Ole is part of that history as well, and they have the real ethos behind Manchester United. So there's no point in going and getting a manager that has no affiliation with Manchester United in the past. I'm trying not to say manager so you won't do a reel where I keep saying the word, sponsored by the word manager. But what's the point in going and getting somebody that has no passion for the club and get them to come in, and then it's a waste that if they don't have the correct ethos and vision.
What do you mean somebody whose job is?
Get a manager from abroad to come in. God's sake. I'm trying really hard. Get somebody to come in.
You can say head coach, Hannah, as well.
Yeah, I'll say head coach.
What's the head coach?
To as a manager.
Fancy you over a manager.
But anyway, that's kind of, who would you say for a head coach for Manchester United then? If it's not Ole and you don't think he's good enough for the job after 4 or 5 games of this season, and we're criticising him straight away, who is?
I don't think that actually. I just think he's been there a couple of years, and I don't think he's done a bad job at all. I just think if you're looking, I don't know, in any other business, and you're going, okay, this is not good, but say you've got a sales team and you've got someone who maybe you think, okay, they're getting us 75% of the sales that we could. Somebody could get us 100%. He's not doing a bad job, but there are people out there who would do better. And I just don't think you're going to maximise the potential of that team with him. And I understand his affiliation with the club and all that kind of thing. So fine, move him upstairs. But you should have got Max Allegri when he was available. Should have gone hard for Diego Simeone, Julian Nagelsmann, someone like that. I think there's better people out there.
Joe, can you draw comparisons to Chelsea a little bit when they had Frank Lampard? Because, that's what Hannah's saying, has affiliation with the club, loved by the fans. But is he a great tactician? Is he a great manager? Does he have a plan? I'm not sure. And I think you couldn't draw comparisons in the past because United weren't dropping like 100 million on loads of players the past few seasons. I know first sort of real season Ole had, he brought in like Wan-Bissaka and Dan James and that sort of ilk. But this season, he's spent 70 million on Sancho. He's brought in Rafa Varane, and they've got Ronaldo now. So this is when you need to judge him and say, well, you've got everything you need. It's one of the best squads in the league, if not the best, apart from maybe a holding midfielder. But anyway, you've got people in there who can do a job. And then that's when you need to judge him and say, can he maximise this squad? Because you look at Chelsea, they were ruthless. They got rid of a club legend in January, and they hired Tuchel, and they won the Champions League, and they now look like the best team in the Premier League comfortably.
They're investing in the team.
So they're investing in the team, and you got to say you have to have a manager of Tuchel's ilk to get the best out of them. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how long they give him. They'll definitely give him the season, I think, just because they've invested so much in him already. And you're right, it would be silly to sack him after 5 games of the season, but I just wonder how long they'll let it go on, because I don't think they'll win anything this season again. I think they might be up there in the top 3, but I just can't see them winning.
Yeah, Frank Lampard's a really good example, actually, because he wasn't doing that bad a job, Frank Lampard. But it's like, we can get more out of this team. And Thomas Tuchel, an elite level manager, showed you how much more you can get out of that team. And I just kind of, I don't think Ollie's good enough to have your say. Rose Ed Pod or Rose Ed Soccer on the various platforms. You'll find us if you're up for that kind of thing.
Kids, TikTok.
So, kids, get on TikTok. Look, do you want to have a little cry after school because Hannah shouts at you? Get on TikTok. All right. Hi, Hannah. I like your impression. Shut up.
Shut your face.
Tottenham lost 3-0 to Chelsea at the weekend. And I hate to admit when Hannah East is right, but you talked quite a lot about Harry Kane during the Euros and about how he was dropping too deep. Yeah. Harry Kane was playing on the halfway line. And I mean, that's because there's a lack of creativity in the Spurs midfield. That's because Tottenham should have bought a creative midfielder or play Tanguy and Ndombele more. But they showed on Match of the Day the touch map, Lukaku compared to Kane, and Kane was playing like a defensive midfielder. I thought Spurs were appalling, to be honest. I thought Spurs were absolutely appalling. First half looked all right, but second half it could have been a lot more. It was pinball in our box. And I'm just a bit depressed about Tottenham, to be honest. Hannah, do you think Spurs are better off without Kane, or he's playing in the wrong position?
He's just playing in the wrong position. He needs to be in the box, in the middle of the goal, end of. That's where he needs to be. He's getting older. I think the team needs to work around, rather than saying talking about positional play, that's where Harry Kane needs to be. And then you work players around him because he's going to get you the goals. And I think the ethos of him maybe getting a bit deeper on the pitch just isn't working. It's just not him anymore. And we talk about other players as they get older, they progress, they can't run as much on the ball. They're not great with attacking. So it's basically just put them in a position and work the other players around them. And for Harry Kane, that's where he needs to be. And you'll get the most out of him rather than the performance you saw at the weekend, and as you identified.
Yeah, Mike, I don't know what you think. I mean, Hugo Lloris made 4 or 5 really good saves. It could have been an annihilation. Bear in mind, Spurs were at home. I just thought team just looks like it's got no shape, no identity, all at siege. Made me think again, potentially the wrong manager. I know you're an Arsenal fan, so I'm not going to get much sympathy out of you, but it was a pretty depressing Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what I said on week 1, Joe, after Spurs beat Man City. And it was like, you were so hyped. It's like, oh, it's going in the right direction. Nuno's the man, perfect defensive structure, all of this. Like going 100 miles an hour. And I was like, week by week, take it week by week because the Premier League is like that. But I think, in that game particularly, I actually thought Spurs did quite well in the first half. They sort of worked out how to play Chelsea. And they were pressing well. Harry Kane's position was a bit questionable, but I feel like it works. You just didn't capitalise on that. And then Chelsea, having the better manager, having the better plan, having the better squad, brought on Kante for Mason Mount, completely changed the game. He was everywhere. Kante obviously scored the goal as well, a bit lucky, but yeah, that's the difference basically. Better squad, better manager, better plan, and they were just ruthless. And that's why I think they're gonna win the league, because they've got all the elements to sort of go together, and they've got the goal scorer now. Even though he didn't score, you had other players stepping up around him. And yeah, Spurs, I don't know. I said this from early on, just watching Wolves last season, they were great against the bigger teams. It was against the sort of lesser teams where they struggled a little bit. And I just don't know, after having Mourinho, if Spurs fans will put up with Nuno and his defensive football. Like I speak to Spurs fans and they're already fed up. Like they're already saying, "Is this what we're going to be like?" And it was a bit ominous what Nuno was saying after the game, like about how they just weren't good enough and there wasn't enough attacking play. Defensively, they were shoddy. So it's like, okay, well, what is your team about then?
Yeah.
What is it? What sort of plan are you putting forward? So I don't know. It's going to be another interesting one to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of managerial changes this season.
I love how much football fans forget things. And I'm guilty of this because, as you say, when Hannah did that impression of me, whatever it was.
No.
Yeah, we should play that again.
Yeah, we should.
I can drop that in. Don't worry.
Literally just to mock Joe. Sorry, Joe. I know you're passionate.
I did say quite a lot, right, a few months ago, why don't Spurs get Graham Potter? And everybody poo-pooed Potter. But look how well he's doing with Brighton. It's good attacking football. He's had a rubbish team at Brighton. Give him a decent team. I would much, and I said all along, get him in. It was, no, he's not high profile enough. Who cares? We're rubbish. So we don't deserve a high profile coach. I'd have much, much rather got him in. And Mike, anyway, it's the Depression Derby on Sunday. So where are we watching it?
Well, I'm going to the game. So
cool. So what do you want to do? Meet up after for a pint and a dissect? Yeah. What do you think about Sunday? I don't feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I think Arsenal fans have been getting a little bit too excited because we won 3 games in a spin, but those games have been against Norwich, Burnley, and last night against Wimbledon. So yeah, I don't take too much stock in them. I think we'll have a bit more confidence, but at the end of the day, like North London derby, form doesn't come into it. So I think it will just be whatever team wants it more on the day. Not particularly convinced by either team's tactics, to be honest with you. So I think it will be a passion derby, to be honest. Who wants it more? It just sometimes football boils down to that, and I feel like it'll be like that at the Emirates on Sunday.
It could be quite amusing because it's 2 bad teams who desperately want to win playing. So, and obviously, is Xhaka going to be back? Is Granit Xhaka going to be back?
Xhaka's back, yeah. I'm not sure if he comes straight back in. Because Arteta's been sort of toying with a new system. He's finally playing the 4-3-3 that he's been talking about all this time. And I was particularly surprised against Wimbledon, even though we won 3-0, like Thomas Partey was playing in that game. And I was like, what? Like this guy needs to be wrapped in cotton wool. I was a bit surprised. but I think he was just playing to build up his fitness. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't really like. This is the thing about Spurs, is that they've played like so differently. Like they've beaten Man City, then they've got smacked by Chelsea. I don't know what Spurs will turn up. I don't know what sort of style of football they're going to play. So I can't really judge too much about what sort of game we're going to get. It's a really weird one, as you say. Like both teams are quite crap at the moment, so it'll be weird.
Well, it could be quite fun as well, because Xhaka and Tanganga, the two most violent men in the Premier League, on the same pitch. That could be quite amusing. Chelsea playing City.
You two outside the stadium.
Yeah, me and Mike. Put them up. Why, yeah, yoda. Stop it, Michael.
I'll smack you in the face.
So, Hannah, Chelsea playing City on Saturday as well. Is that a title decider? Definitively.
Well, that's going to be an amazing game to watch on Saturday. So I'll cage my kids up to be able to see that one.
Put them in the box behind you.
Yeah, in the shredder. No, I think that's going to be, like you said, I think it will be the decider. I think Chelsea are going to dominate that game.
You were moaning earlier because your kids have made too many friends at school and now you have to talk to their parents.
I know. It's like, but I appear to have popular children, which most parents would be like, that's amazing. I love how confident they are. However, not when every parent wants to chat to you at the school gates. I just want to listen to a podcast, pick my kids up and go. But apparently not. Yeah, I have to socialise with people and I find that really difficult.
Do you find it offensive when it's like, you're Bradley's mum and it's just like, no, he's my kid? You don't like to be like reframed like that?
Yeah. Are you Bradley's mum? No, I'm Hannah.
Yeah.
Hannah,
I don't know who that little lad is.
Yeah. As he's walking towards me with food around his face and his pants around his ankles, I'm like, I don't know who he is.
Oh, chip off the old block.
Yeah.
So some exciting news this week for no one. Romeo Beckham is making his professional soccer debut. Do we think Mike, who's he playing for? Who's gonna be playing for Inter Miami's reserves, is it?
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale, which is like their sort of like reserve team. He's made his debut already. Actually, he played on the weekend, and he got sort of, yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the game. I have to admit, I'm not a big Fort Lauderdale fan, but it's just interesting because how on earth, as a kid, do you live up to your dad? Like, this is David Beckham, like great player, like incredibly sexy man, like rich, famous, like the poster boy of football. How do you do it? I don't know. Big boots to fill. So.
It's the problem that my kids are going to have. So when this is Papa Bear, being one of the Cubs is pretty intimidating. You know what I'm saying?
How many times have you said that?
You get me, Hannah? Yeah.
The psycho eyes comes out.
Yeah. When this is the old silverback, how are you ever going to find your way to the top of the troop?
Oh my God. Don't think
this
you should
really
have
scary.
children. Yeah, it's really scaring me.
But he's playing alongside Harvey Neville, who's Phil Neville's, who obviously coach out there, Phil Neville's kid as well. Gary Neville's kids must be like, what are you doing? Like, you've kept us back here. Uncle Phil's in Miami and I'm in Salt. What are you doing? Like, went a bit scouse at the end there, didn't he?
Yeah, it did.
Hey, Dad, what are you doing, Dad?
What are you talking about? Come home.
So they're just chasing like cheerleaders in Miami and they're like wheeling around barrows of coal in the streets. So it's rubbish. But Hannah, have you ever let your parents down?
All the time, daily. I actually ruined Christmas once. My dad told me, and do you know what he called me? He called me a stupid bitch. And he's never sworn at me in my life.
What had you done?
Stupid bitch. So what happened was they bought me. I've always been a tomboy, so I've always played football and stuff. Never used to be into makeup. But Claire, you know the band from Steps, Claire, the lead singer.
The woman from Steps. Yeah.
The woman, Claire from Steps, yeah, the woman, yeah, from Steps. She brought out a video where she was putting makeup on. So my parents bought me a video that lasted an hour of this woman putting makeup on herself, and then they bought me some makeup. So they went round to our neighbour's house to get drunk at 10 o'clock in the morning, and Dad said, Hannah, can you just stir the cranberry sauce every 10 minutes? Well, Claire from Steps was midway through the eyeshadow section at that point, so I just didn't stir it. So I actually burnt majority of the Christmas dinner and just left it on the hob and didn't stir it. So I actually ruined Christmas, and my dad said I was a disappointment and called me a stupid bitch.
How old were you?
9.
I'd say that's their fault.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, I would as well.
So
But Dad was really cross.
Drunk Yorkshireman has left a 9-year-old with a VHS on and said, can you look after the dinner? And then it's your fault when it gets burnt because he's gone to get drunk.
That's a big task.
It was. And I used to be really responsible. But yeah, Dad just said every year, he's just like, well, we're not going to do cranberry sauce this year, are we? And it's like, all right, Dad, God, I'm like 35 years old.
He's really gaslighting you because that is so his fault. And he's spun it. Can I just say, Hannah, now it's 20 odd years later.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your fault.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that.
It's like Good Will Hunting. It's not
Yeah, I
your
was going to
say. Not you too, Joe. Not you.
If anyone ever says to me, do you want some cranberry sauce? I'm like, no, thank you. I get such a fear. I get anxiety over it.
Mike, have you ever let the staff roos down?
Well, I mean, I'm just a living disappointment because my sister is a doctor. So it's just like everything I do, it's just never enough. It's like, you know, when you're like seeing family and you haven't seen for a while, and then you're all grown up, and everyone's like, this is my daughter. And that's my, there he is. Yeah. So, oh God, that got really deep, but no. Living disappointment. But there's been no cranberry sauce incidents because I'm not a very good cook. I just wouldn't be given that responsibility. But cranberry sauce is not really a huge thing in our household.
Nice. What is it? Halloumi and stuff.
Yeah, you know, kebabs for Christmas. Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Kebab chips.
Get the barbecue, put the turkey on the barbecue, obviously. Spit roast it, yeah. All of that.
So, Merry Christmas, Mr. Stafford.
Spit roasted on Christmas Day. Christ.
You're too full.
Where do you live?
No, I want a nap. Oh, there you go.
What about you, Joe?
Well,
have you ruined Christmas? I'll just generally disappoint your family.
I got expelled from school. So my mum was a bit disappointed. So basically, me and my auntie still think this is really funny. My mum doesn't like to talk about it because she's still cross. So it's nearly 20 years later. So basically, I got a scholarship to go to a posh school. Right. So this was quite a proud moment for the Foresters, right? Because we couldn't obviously afford to pay. So I got a scholarship and it was like, oh, it's this big thing, whatever. But I've always been quite badly behaved. And I mean, you might be shocked by that, Hannah, but I've always found it, I've never been like mean, but I find it, if there's the potential for something to be funny, make myself or others laugh, I think it's worth it. So I would always be like, I know I'll get in detention, but James might laugh. So it's so worth doing this thing. So I used to get in quite a lot of trouble, and I got like several kind of detentions, and then we had Saturday detentions at my school, and then I got suspended and all that kind of thing. And like the fire brigade came and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, then for my last year, they were like, look, if you do anything else, we will expel you. And my mum was like, look, you've gone to this school, right? You've given yourself a real like head start in life by having a great education, all this kind of thing. Don't mess it up for the last year. Promise me. I'm your mum. So I said, Mum, I promise. And I was really, really good until my last day of school. So I knew I wasn't welcome back for sixth form. So we did that thing where everybody draws and signs your shirt, right? On the last day. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's something we do in the UK. I don't know if they do it in the US or other countries. And somebody on the back of my shirt drew a giant red penis. So, ding, correct. So, the answer is giant red penis. I kind of didn't really think much of that. But also, my friend Bully had convinced me to, can't be a bit of bully.
Your friend Bully.
My friend Bully from Catchphrase, and convinced me to get loads of smoke bombs. It was like, I'll just set them off on the last day. You're not going to get in trouble. So I went around the school sort of after first period and set off smoke bombs in various rooms, the bathrooms and whatever. But the thing I did that was a bit stupid and a bit short-sighted was when everybody was kind of at the vending machines and whatever at first break, we're talking like 200 kids, I lobbed loads of smoke bombs in like I was like a football hooligan at Galatasaray in the 90s and closed the doors. There's all this smoke and everyone, in my head, everyone's like at the window like, no, no, I'm sure it wasn't like that. Then I was like, oh, it's quite bad. The fire alarm started going off. And I was like, oh no, so I'm just going to run away and hide. So my friend Will lived around the corner. So I ran down the driveway and I was like, right, I've got to dump the evidence. So I went to where I knew and I dumped all the smoke bombs and everything in Will's front garden. Now, he insists I was trying to frame him. I wasn't. If I'd have thought about that, I would have, but I didn't think that far ahead. And then I came back and I went to double art, and the whole art block was deserted. And as I walked in, Mr. Hill, my teacher, was looking out the window over the playing fields. And I walked into the deserted art classroom. I was like, trying to be casual. I was like, "Oh, what's up, sir? What's going on? I thought we had double art, yeah?" And he was like, "Oh, there's something going on with your year on the field, Joe." And there was 180 people in my year. I looked out the window, the headmaster, the 2 deputy headmasters, and all the senior leadership were there with all 180 of my year, and they were berating them, right? And me and Mr. Hill watched out the window as this group got whittled down into like 10 of my best mates. And then eventually people started coming back to art and were like, "Oh, you're right, mate. Do you know anything about that smoke bomb?" Because they're kind of interested in the smoke bombs. I was like, "Nah, man, nah. I've just been like just chilling all day, man. I've been in the bathroom, you know." So obvious that it was me. Anyway, eventually one of the deputy heads comes in, drags me out, puts me, like I go in the deputy head's office, 2 of them are there, plus my head of year, plus the headmaster. And they're like, "We know it's you." I've got no idea what you're talking about, guys. And they were like, "We know it's you." I was like, "No, I don't." And they was like, "We know it's you." I was like, "Well, how do you know it's me?" Like, "Because we've seen you on CCTV running down the driveway with a massive red knob drawn on your back."
Oh God.
So my mum
what
had to come and
happened?
pick me up. Well, she worked at the school next door, and she was having a fag outside with her friends. And one of her friends was like, when 3 fire engines came past, went, "Wouldn't it be funny if that was for Joe?" And she's like, "Yeah, he wouldn't do that."
Oh, Joe.
So then what happened?
Well, she picked me up and she wouldn't talk to me for like a day. And then basically they said, "Well, we don't want you to do your GCSEs here." And to be fair, one of the deputy heads was like, "Look, he's an idiot, but he's not like an unpleasant idiot. He's just an idiot. So let him do his GCSEs here." So eventually there was a deal struck where I was allowed on site for 5 minutes before and after an exam. Otherwise they'd call the police. I mean, I'm not being funny. The police have got better stuff to do than come and get me because I'm there too late after the biology exam. But yeah, so that's what happened. And then I went to college, and now here I am, a big success.
You're so naughty, Joe.
Yeah, sorry, Mum.
That was one of my kids. I kicked the shit out of them.
Hannah, you can't say, Jesus, the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree, has it? With Mr. Krillman, blimey. So there you go. So that's that.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there? That's too long for a reel, isn't it? That's going to have to be a whole IGTV video. Oh, dear. Anyway, the vice president of Suriname played 54 minutes for the football team that he owns at 60 years old. That's not on, is it, Hannah? Would you, like, if you owned a football team, would you put yourself in the team?
Absolutely not. No.
No?
No.
What would your role be?
I just wash people down after they finish the game. No.
I don't think that's a job, is it? They're not elephants at a zoo.
Wash the boys down.
Can somebody hose off Scott McTominay, please?
Give him a rub, Hannah.
Yeah. That's probably quite a nice place to leave the show for this week, I think.
I mean, we've gone places today that I just don't think we ever thought we would.
Really dark today. It's got really dark. Look, thank you very much, Hannah, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike, as always.
Thank you, Joe.
It's RoseEd Pod or RoseEd Soccer across all the various social media networks. Do get in touch or send Hannah a comment or whatever you like to do, or get involved with
I'll reply.
banal debates. We do love chatting to you. It's the best bit of the show. We'll be back next week where it's going to be Hannah East's birthday special.
Woo.
Which is going to be very exciting for everyone. Look, it's been great fun as always, and we will see you next time.
Bye.